This is one of the hardest videos I have ever recorded. Not because the topic is complicated, because I know exactly what I was doing when I asked this question.
I know what I was trained to look for. And I know that the person sitting in that car had no idea any of it was happening. That asymmetry, the officer knowing exactly what he is watching for while the driver has no idea what is being measured, is what this channel exists to close. You deserve to know this.
My name is James Cole. I spent years wearing a badge. I made stops. I asked questions. I watched how people responded.
And somewhere along the way, I realized that most people driving home tonight have never been taught what a routine traffic stop looks like from the other side of that flashlight. They have never been told what a simple question can set in motion. They have never been told that the danger is not the question itself. Most people believe that if they have nothing to hide, the encounter cannot go wrong. That belief is exactly what makes them vulnerable. The encounter responds to behavior, and behavior under pressure, without preparation, almost always,
The danger is everything they do in the 5 seconds after it lands. So I made this video, and I want you to watch it before you need it.
Here is the moment. It is late. You are on the road, maybe heading home from work, maybe driving back from seeing someone you love. Lights appear in your rearview mirror, red and blue, cutting through the dark. Your stomach tightens. You pull over to the right shoulder. You put the window down. The engine is still running. The dashboard glows. Your hands find the wheel without thinking,
The officer leans toward you, looks into the car, and says, "Any weapons in the car tonight?"
Most people do one of 3 things. They laugh nervously and say, No, nothing, no. They hesitate for just a second, and their eyes drift toward the glove box or the center console. Or they talk. They explain. They fill the silence with details nobody asked for. And none of those 3 responses come from bad intent. They come from nerves, from not knowing what that question is actually measuring. They come from a natural human instinct to appear cooperative, to show the officer there is nothing to worry about. The problem is that over-explaining is one of the now.
The question is not only about weapons. It is a behavioral observation moment. Officers watch what happens in the body before the words come out.
The hesitation, the nervous laugh, the shoulder turning slightly, the eyes moving to a specific part of the car. These are not proof of anything, but they are information. And in real time, they shape what happens next. A trained officer does not need certainty. They need reason. And sometimes reason is built from a glance, a half-second pause, a voice that went slightly higher than it needed to. That is simply how pattern recognition now.
There is one phrase that can slow this moment down, but the phrase alone is not enough. What you need is a system.
3 conditions that make this moment dangerous. 3 things you do before you say anything else. 3 ways the encounter can push you out of control before you notice. 3 mistakes that destroy the protection. And what to do if you are already past the moment. That is what this video is. Not a trick, not a loophole. A system for staying calm, staying clear, and getting home with your record intact. If this is the kind of knowledge you want more of, the kind they don't teach you in school, subscribe right now. Let me start with the 3 conditions that make the weapons question dangerous, not because of what the officer might do, but because of the situation you may already be in without knowing it. The first condition: you do not know whether the officer is asking as a standard safety check or as the opening move toward a search request. A safety inquiry and a consent-building sequence are not the same moment, but they can feel identical from inside the car. If you treat them the same, you may give away more than you intended. The framing does not always tell you which one it is, and if you are nervous, you are probably not analyzing the framing. You are just trying to get through go.
The second condition, no one is watching. No recording, no neutral witness, no documentation. If anything is agreed to in the next 90 seconds, it is your word against the officers.
The third condition, your body moves before your mind decides. Your eyes go to the glove box. Your hand drifts toward the console. Not because you have anything to hide, because that is where your registration is. Because you are nervous. Because you want the interaction to end. That small, involuntary movement, in the context of that question, can communicate something you never intended to say. It is not that the officer will definitely interpret it as guilt. It is that the movement creates an opening that did not exist before. Once that opening exists, the interaction can shift in a direction you did not choose. These three conditions are not about guilt. They are about. Now, here is the phrase, before your hand moves. Before you start explaining. Before you laugh to soften the silence. Before fear turns into permission.
No, officer. Pose. Is there something specific you are looking for? That is it. That is exactly why it works. Honest. Direct. No extra detail. No new topics opened.
And the pause, the physical pause between those two sentences, does something that no amount of extra talking can do. It separates the answer from the follow-up. It turns one automatic reaction into two deliberate statements. The power is not that this phrase forces anyone to back down. The power is that it moves the interaction from automatic response to stated reason. It changes the structure of the moment. Instead of a driver reacting, you have a driver communicating. That distinction may seem small, but the difference between the two is often the difference between a stop-go.
If the officer asks to search, I do not consent to a search, but I will not interfere with anything you are authorized to do. One sentence, said calmly, once.
And if the officer becomes irritated, or says it is just routine, or implies that pausing is itself suspicious, that is your signal to stay even calmer, not to speed up. Irritation is not a lawful order. Tone is not a command. Your calm is go.
Officer, I understand. I'm not trying to make this difficult. I want to cooperate correctly. Can you tell me the specific reason so I can do that?
This is the decision tree, and I want you to hear it clearly before we go further. If the officer gives you a clear, specific, lawful reason, you cooperate. You move slowly. You announce your movements. You do not keep arguing. The moment for clarification has passed. If the officer gives you a vague reason, routine, procedure, because I said so, you use the follow-up phrase, once, calmly. You say it once, clearly, and you let the silence work. If the officer gets irritated, you do not mirror it. You do not raise your voice. You do not turn the side of the road into a courtroom. You repeat calm cooperation, and you prioritize safety above everything else. Details can be documented afterward. Your safety depends on the choices you make in real time. This is not go. Now let me tell you about the 3 ways this encounter can push you out of your own control before you realize what happened. The first is the casual urgency reframe. The officer says, I just need to know for my safety. It's standard procedure. That framing makes hesitation feel suspicious, as if pausing to think is itself an admission. It is not. Routine does not mean required. Procedure does not mean consent. A calm pause is not a red flag. A calm pause is a person thinking before they speak. Do not let the word routine do the work of consent on your behalf. The second is the follow-up pivot. The officer asks, "Any weapons?" And then, without a pause, asks, "Mind if I take a look?" As if the two questions are one connected sequence. They are not. These are two different questions. They deserve two different moments of thought. Slow down. Treat every new question as its own moment. The third is the irritation signal. If you slow the interaction down, the officer's tone may shift slightly, just enough to imply your pause is the problem. When you feel that shift, the instinct is to overtalk. Do not do that.
Save this video. Send it to someone driving alone tonight, because this information matters. Before the moment arrives, not after.
Now the 3 mistakes. These are small. They are the kind of things a calm, well-intentioned person does under pressure without realizing what it looks like from outside the car. The first mistake, saying the right phrase while moving. Your answer is clean. Your words are exactly right. But your eyes go to the center console. Your hand shifts. Your shoulder turns. The verbal message and the physical message are contradicting each other. And in that moment, the physical message wins. Before you speak, go still. Hands on the wheel, eyes forward. Then answer. The stillness is part of the phrase. Without it, the phrase is just words. The second mistake, explaining after the phrase. "No, officer." Pause. Is there something specific you are looking for? That is where you stop. Not. I have nothing in here. The glove box just has my registration. The extra words create new questions. They fill the silence with information the officer can use to extend the stop. The phrase creates a pause. Extra talking destroys it. The third mistake, saying the phrase with the wrong tone. Slightly sharp, slightly challenging. The words are technically respectful, but the energy reads as defiance. Officers hear this difference immediately. Say it the way you would ask a doctor to go. Now, here is the part most people do not think about. The part almost no one talks about. What if it is already too late? What if you already said, "Yeah, go ahead," before thinking? What if the search already started? What if the officer is already moving around your car and you realize you did not say any of the phrases from this video? Do not panic. Do not reach for anything. Do not start explaining the contents of your car out loud. Do not argue while the search is happening. The instinct to fix the moment by talking more is,
If they ask about something in the car, say, "I want to cooperate correctly. I would like to understand what is happening before I say anything further." One time, calmly.
then go quiet. Watch, remember. Do not touch anything. Do not invent a story. Do not escalate a physical confrontation over any object. When the stop is over, as soon as you are safely away, write down everything. The officer's name and badge number if you saw it. The time, the location, the exact sequence of what was said. What you agreed to, and what you did not. What was found, and where. Write it while the details are still sharp. Memory fades faster than people expect, especially after a high-stress interaction. The notes you take in the first 15 minutes after a stop are worth more than anything you try to reconstruct the next day. These details do not help you in the street. They help you later, when clarity matters. The phrase is prevention. But even if you missed the moment, the window is not closed. preserving the record is not the now. Let me show you two versions of the same night. First version. Late road. No other cars. You see the lights. You pull over. Both hands stay on the wheel. The officer approaches. Window is halfway down. Dashboard glow. Engine still running quietly. The officer asks, "Any weapons in the car tonight?" You do not laugh. You do not look anywhere. You say, "No, officer." You pause. You stay still. Is there something specific you are looking for? The officer says it is routine. He takes your license and registration. The stop continues. It ends. You drive home. Nothing happened, because you never gave the moment a reason to become something else. Second version. Same night. Same road. The officer asks the question and you laugh a little. Nervous habit. And your eyes go to the glove box, because that is where your registration is. The officer asks to search the vehicle, framing it as one natural next step. You say, sure, I guess, because the moment is moving and you just want it to be over. The search begins. You do not grab anything. You do not argue. When the officer asks about something in the back seat, you say, "I want to cooperate correctly. I would like to understand what is happening before I say anything further." You keep your hands go. Neither of these scenarios ends with you winning anything. That is not the point. The point is that in both versions, the moment you can control is the moment right after the question lands. Everything downstream follows from that. I want to say something clearly before I close. This video is not about distrust. I wore a badge for years. I have enormous respect for officers who do this work with integrity. The vast majority of stops are routine. The vast majority of officers are professionals doing a difficult job. This video is about the fact that an ordinary person, in an ordinary stop, can give away more than they intended simply because they were nervous and no one ever told them what that question measures. Knowing what a question means is not disrespectful. A calm citizen asking for a specific reason is not a problem for an officer who can give one. Rights awareness used calmly tends to slow the encounter down, not escalate it. The goal has done.
The phrase, "No, officer," is there something specific you are looking for? The follow-up, "I do. Not consent to a search, but I will not interfere."
If you get a clear reason, you cooperate. If you get a vague answer, you ask for specifics, once, calmly. If the officer gets irritated, you do not mirror it. You do not move while asking. You do not over-explain. You do not let the tone make the phrase into a challenge. And if the moment has already passed, stay still, stay quiet, and write it all down the moment it is safe to do so. Send this to someone who drives alone at night. Send it to someone who gets nervous when those lights appear in the mirror. If this stop has happened to you, comment the city. Tell me what the first question was. Those details matter to the people who have not been through it yet. Every comment, every share, every person who watches this before the go.
I made this video because I asked this question for years from the other side of the window. Staying quiet about that, knowing what I know, felt like the wrong choice.
The phrase is not designed to help you win an argument. It is designed to help you keep your voice calm, your record clean, and your story yours. In the 5 seconds where most people give all 3 away without realizing it.